Tony, so what exactly is Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin unveiling today with regards to tax and calculators?
Sure. So the IRS often will have a withholding calculator for taxpayers to ensure that they're properly withheld every year. It's more important this year, obviously, because it's for the first time in 31 years that we've had such massive comprehensive tax reform. So the reveal of this calculator will allow Americans to make sure that they're properly withheld. And because of some of the changes, in many cases, this will mean more money in Americans' paycheck. So it's very important that they focus on that.
So Samsung tonight having a big event actually in Washington with regards to a new plant that they're opening in South Carolina. I mean, we've covered all of the different companies and businesses that are sending money back, but some of this isn't going to take effect until next tax calendar year. Can you walk me through what the average middle class American should expect when they fill out their taxes, I guess now, in the next couple of weeks?
Well, you point out something very important, that this is for the 2018 tax return. Yes. So obviously this is not something that is going to be realized this April 17th. We're actually very happy to announce that this will be the last time Americans fill out such complicated tax returns with such high taxes in so many ways. We clearly focus, as you know from covering tax reform, on ensuring a major middle income tax cut, but on the business side, creating an opportunity for our companies to be more competitive. We know that's good for workers. We know that's good for the country's economy and economic growth. And we're starting to see that when you talk about nearly 400 companies helping 4 million workers get some sort of pay increase, whether it's a bonus. In many of the cases of these companies, it's raising their minimum wages. That's something very significant. You also have economic growth projections that we feel are going to be bolstered by the fact that you have a growing economy, companies reinvesting capital expenditure into the country, reinvesting into the domestic economy and expanding their domestic facilities rather than overseas. The president in Davos made it very clear we're open for business, and we're already seeing so many encouraging things as far as reinvesting in the country, and that's going to all help the economy.
Politically, this isn't crumbs?
I think you could see the fact that tax reform has grown in terms of support since December by a net of 18 points. You know, Nancy Pelosi and Democrats run a very high risk. We've had this conversation on camera before to really minimize the fact that thousands of dollars in Americans' pockets is hardly crumbs, especially when you also consider that just by the tax cuts alone, the average American family gets over $2,000 in the tax cut.
Two more questions for you. First and foremost, it's just breaking now that actually the Senate might take up a Dodd-Frank type of off-ramp bill next week. It's already advanced out of the House. Thoughts on that?
Look, we've been dedicated throughout the year on making sure that we bring regulatory relief to the financial industry to allow them to, in a very safe way to taxpayers, make themselves more available, to give out loans, to be liquid, and to make sure that we do it again in a responsible way. We've issued 4 reports out of the Treasury, all toward these issues, and we look forward to working with Congress to continue to bring regulatory relief, which we think is a major part of our economic growth agenda.
Final question. Yesterday, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin grabbing some headlines with regards to trade policy and TPP. Has the White House signaled to the Treasury Secretary that potentially they might want to make a last-ditch play for ahead of March 13th in Chile?
The president made it very clear in an interview in Davos that he was open to the idea of TPP again if we felt we were going to get a good trade agreement from that. Obviously, bilateral agreements is where we're heading right now in many of these cases. But if there's a good offer, I think we're willing to listen to it.
This has one follow-up. Some of what's been added into TPP about intellectual property for the big pharmaceuticals has been at the urging of this administration, as well as the business community here in the United States. Is that good enough?
Look, we want a fair deal for American companies and American workers across all of our trade agreements. That's clearly something the president's made a focus, and the secretary has taken that message to the G20, to the G7, and to our trading partners across the world. We want reciprocal and fair trade, and we anticipate we'll get it with some new good trade agreements.
Tony Sayegh, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.